Wow. I mean, let me just start by saying I can't even express how honored I am to be in this room in front of all of you in this moment, to see the female leaders in this area all in this room together, and for me to be here with you. I just want to say thank you for welcoming me here, and thank you for taking the time to listen to my story and to hear what this company is all about. So my mission, what I am all about, is creating healthy leaders that really burn bright and can go the distance without burning out. I am going to share with you my personal story, and I'll be really transparent. I have never told a group of people this entire story, so I'm just going to put it all out there and share with you why this became my vision, why this became my mission, and why I started Connected EC. I grew up in one of those families that was all about work hard, drive, type A. My father came from very humble beginnings, built a huge, wonderful company, and I was taught at a young age, you work hard, that's what you do. So by 24, I was following in that footstep. I had been in the corporate environment for 4 years already at 24. I had an MBA, I had a master's in IT. I was out in the software world, and I was going, and I had all of these goals. And one of the things I did for myself, which I didn't realize was such a gift, was I got involved in triathlons at the same time. So while I was driving hard in my career, I was driving hard in my physical and my health and my wellness and my nutrition. And little did I know at that moment that it was actually keeping me balanced and able to perform. I thought this was just my type A personality gone wild. And it was, don't get me wrong. But it really did keep a balance. I had a goal at 25. I had an executive coach. I was really fortunate to work with an organization that valued coaching. And I created this goal that I was going to be a VP before 30. Got the opportunity. At 28, a big software company said, we want you to be the VP of Professional Services. And I said, yeah, I have made it. I did it. I'm so happy. And I started in the role. And I was like, well, I can't do triathlons anymore. I've got this big job. I'm traveling all the time. Oh, and nutrition. Oh, well, I had to focus in that, but now the business needs to come first. This is what I've worked for. And let me tell you, on the outside, things looked good. I was in line for senior VP. Everybody thought I was doing just great. And on the inside, truthfully, I was dying. I had gained 30 pounds in a short period of time. Triathlons, going to the gym, all of that gone. I was slowly losing myself and watching people around me do the same thing. As they were rising in organizations, they were little by little letting go of who they were. Mind, body, stress, all of those things. My husband and I wanted to have children, and truthfully, I couldn't. My body was too stressed. My cortisol levels were too high. So here I am dying on the inside, and everybody on the outside is looking at me like, oh, wow, she's doing great. And I thought there's got to be something different. The executive coaches I had in my life were amazing, but we were always dealing with the mental side. And nobody was asking me, are you taking care of yourself? What's your stress level like? Are you really taking time for you to put the energy back in so that you can do this job? The truth is that I could have done the job, and I would have been the only female with a seat at the table at that company. But I burned out, and I said, you know what? I'm not doing this. I'm not sacrificing my entire being for this job, and I wish that I would have known then what I know now. But that is where this company was born from. Was from a place of saying we've got to do it differently. If we want to be at the top and we want to be leading with as much power and passion and love and care, we have to be doing things differently. And so I started Connected EC. I became an executive coach. I became a nutritionist. And I said, I'm putting these worlds together because we as leaders, we need more support. So I'm going to talk a lot today about things like what pulls us away from health and wellness, because let me say, I get it. I have 2 kids, I'm running a company. I know there's a million and one things that pull us away from focusing on our health. So we're gonna talk about that. The most important thing we're gonna talk about today, you'll see pieces of paper that say, please leave this face down. We're gonna do some work together to really get connected to your why. And you're gonna learn why connecting to the why when it comes to health and wellness is such a critical piece of the puzzle. We're also going to talk about the connection. You know, people talk about leadership all the time, and we talk about wellness, and we have these two strategies going in two different directions. And they shouldn't be going in two directions. They need to be integrated. And I'm going to show you the science behind that and why they really do need to be integrated. And finally, I want everyone in this room to be able to walk out of here with something that they can commit to changing in their world to bring more vitality into their life. So we're going to get to the how and the what and how to make small changes tonight. And because I'm a coach, of course, I'm going to ask you for a commitment. So just prepare yourself. So this is our wellness meter. If you want to go to our website, we have a fun little quiz because we all love quizzes and we want to know where we are on the wellness meter. So feel free to jump on. And here's what I want to talk about. We're all somewhere in the path, right? We're either in the vital category, maybe we're in the tax category, perhaps we're exhausted. Hopefully we're not in the burnout category. But we're all working towards vital. And here's what I want to tell you that I hope you take this and really take it to heart. Being vital is not about perfection. Okay? I know we have a lot of people in this room that strive really hard. I'm one of them. But being vital, if you think about vitality, think about it as a line. And we're always kind of coming back to it. We wave through. It's not about being perfect all the time. It's about understanding how we get back to vitality when we're off. It's about having the tools, being connected to our vision, because sometimes we are not going to be in that vital category. People ask me all the time, oh, you're a nutritionist, and oh, you must always be on the vital category. No! I have 2 little kids. I have a 4 and a 6-year-old. I'm trying to run a company. I'm not always there. I have to get back sometimes. And I have to look inside myself and say, where's energy not coming in? Where am I not taking care of myself in this moment? The difference is I believe I have the tools now to get back to that line when I'm in that dip. And that's what I want you to walk out of this room with is, it's not perfection. And it's not an all or nothing deal. We get to take steps. We get to make small changes. So what pulls us away? How about everything, right? Everybody in this room has got a million things on their plate, and I know it, right? We've got iPhones that we're looking at that connect us every second of the day. We get home and whoop, ding, ding, ding. It is a 24/7 global economy. And many of you are managing households and have significant others and have children. And the question is, how in the world do I have time for myself, right? And what does the world expect us to do as women? Walk around like we're perfect and we're fabulous and everything is okay. And that is just not right, right? I mean, that's what we're supposed to look like. And it's not reality. And you know what the funny thing is that we actually try and make people believe that that's our reality. I had the best quote. I had a CEO of a major healthcare organization say to me, I'm like a duck. I was like, what, you're like a duck? She's like, yeah, everybody sees me floating. I'm just floating, smiling, and underneath, I'm like, whoo! But they don't see that. They just see that I'm a duck. And I want to invite you all to not be ducks anymore. Here's what I want to change. I want you all to be lionesses. Because lionesses, they move fast. And everybody in this room, if someone said to slow down, no. We're executives. We don't slow down. We're going fast. Lionesses go fast. And you know what? They go fast, and everybody sees them going fast, but they go fast with strength and with grace. And what do we see all the time in National Geographic? We see those lionesses laying in the prairie and absorbing the sun so they can get ready to go fast, okay? So one of the things we're going to change tonight is that if anybody in this room feels like a duck, I want you to try and change your perspective, because I really want us leaving as all lionesses. So some of the expectations we don't have any expectations on us, not as women, no. They don't expect us to be charismatic and walking around with every single thing feeling great and leading and feeling energized, and gosh, we have a lot of expectations on us. And yet what happens when it comes to our foundation of health? Well, when it comes to nutrition, we're oftentimes on a plane eating the snacks that they give us, like pretzels. We are constantly getting our cookies or our caffeine at 3 o'clock so we can get through our days. we're in this constant cycle of not eating the right foods to support all these expectations we have on us. And so we wonder, well, why don't we feel good? Why aren't we sleeping well at night? What's going on with us? And our nutrition is a foundation here. And then working out, forget about it. Who has time to work out when we're on the road all the time, or we have so many expectations that we need to live up to? So much of the time we're forgetting that it's not just about working out, it's about taking care of our bodies when we're on the airplane, when we're sitting at our desk, when we're not looking at our iPhone with our necks out all the time. We need to take care of our bodies too to create that foundation. And the mind and body, right? How do we manage stress? My goodness, that's crazy. Managing stress as an executive, it's pretty tough. I'm going to give you some tools tonight that are going to help you with that piece. Because it's when we create a foundation that we really find our place of power. And it's when we create this foundation that we not only lead ourselves, but we create the inspiration for our organizations to be healthy communities. And that's why I do what I do. It's about every single woman in this room, and it's also about creating the communities of health and wellness that you all impact each and every day. Your family, your community, your organization. Everybody is looking at you because you are a leader. So we've got some information, right? We've got a lot of health information out there. If you want to find well-being information on nutrition, exercise, we've got it. I mean, we have got so much. It's amazing. So why aren't we all walking around as these incredibly healthy beings? Hey, we've got motivation, right? We've been talking about motivation all along. We got information, we've got motivation. What's missing? So I want to take it to a study that was done at Johns Hopkins, because this study really is amazing. What they did is they took cardiac patients who had had heart bypass surgery, and they said, listen, you either change or you're going to die. And there's a great article written called Change or Die out there, and there's a book as well. I highly recommend taking a look at it. And so that was it. I mean, if you're talking motivation to change and the potential is to potentially die, okay, that's good motivation, right? 1 in 7 people were able to adopt a healthy lifestyle. Then Dr. Ornish out of Berkeley, I love California, he did a different study. He said, I'm going to take the same kind of people who have been through bypass surgery, and I'm going to come from a totally different place. I'm going to come from a place of possibility, not fear. I'm going to ask every one of these patients to imagine if they were healthy, what's possible in their life. He had a 77% success rate. So we went from 1 in 7 success to 77% success rate. So what was the difference? Well, the difference is vision. See, I love this man, Simon Sinek, because he put out a TED Talk that has gone viral, and it's all about the power of why. And what he did was he took vision, which we coaches have been talking about for a long time, and he put it in business language. And I am so grateful, because now we can talk about the why, and we can talk about it all the time, because it's in the language of business now. And I am so thankful to this man, because what he said, what makes a difference when we're talking about businesses, what's different between Apple and what's different between Dell, is that the vision and the why has been identified. So definitely take an opportunity to watch this TED Talk. We're going to talk about the why when it comes to health and wellness, and we're going to get connected to it tonight. So we talked about the how and the what, right? Like, if you do this program, let's say this diet program, you're going to lose 20 pounds. Those are the results. And what we keep failing to talk about is what is in here. And what is the connection to vision that we should all have in order to really make change happen? So how do you get connected to your why? Anybody want to know? Yes? Okay, great, because we're going to do it tonight. And we're not going to get to all the depths that we could get into, but we're going to start with the why. So one of the things that I want to say is that we're going to get into some deep stuff tonight. And you know, as Kristen said, this group is all about being real. We're going to be real tonight. I'm going to take you through a visualization as a group. And I just want to invite you to open your minds, open your imagination, and allow anything to come up that needs to come up. because this is a way that we turn off our logic, which we're all super good at, and I know that, and we get really connected to what's in here. So with that being said, I'm actually going to close my eyes with you because I don't think I can lead a visualization and be looking at all of you and up here. So I'm going to just grab a chair. Do you mind if I grab this? And so what we're going to do is basically a guided meditation. I'm going to be talking you through this. I'm going to ask that everybody close their eyes for a moment. And it'll be about a 3-minute visualization. And just get in a comfortable position and close your eyes. And we're just going to start to connect to our breath and get present in this moment all together as a group. You can notice how the breath feels as it goes through your nostrils, how the exhale feels. Allow yourself to relax into this moment, to let any tension go that could potentially be there from the day. And now I'm going to ask that you imagine a key coming into your brain and unlocking your imagination and just letting it be free in this moment, letting it go in any direction it wants to go in. And I'd like you to invite your imagination to create a completely safe space for you. Whatever it is, you can just make it up, but someplace where you feel safe, comfortable, at peace. Allow this space to become so alive that you could sense it and you can see it. Maybe you want to reach out and touch something. I want you to notice that there's someone in the distance. You don't know who it is yet, but there's someone, and they're coming closer to you. You feel a sense of excitement as they start approaching, and as they come into view, you realize that it's you. It's your future self. And it's your future self having accomplished every health and wellness and leadership goal you ever thought possible. Go ahead and experience what it's like to be with the future you. Notice what she looks like. What's the same? What's different? What is she wearing? What's her energy like? You're going to have the opportunity to ask your future self 2 really important questions, and you're just going to listen to her answers in your own mind, and you'll have the opportunity to write them down. The first question I want you to ask her is, how did she get to where she is right now, embodying all of this health and vitality? And the second question I want you to ask her is, what do I need to know in this moment for my journey to be successful? We're going to draw this visualization to a close and also this meeting, but please know that you have access to your future self always, always waiting for you to connect. Whenever you're ready, you can allow the breath to return you and to open your eyes whenever you're ready. So I put paper in front of you all and it says, please leave face down. You can go ahead and open that now. And I'd like you just to write down a few things about the why. Because everything after connecting to your why that I'm going to talk about will make a lot more impact if you feel some connection there. So go ahead and take a few minutes to write some things down. So I'm going to invite each of you to have a conversation with one another about what you're writing down. And during this presentation, I'm going to have an opportunity to tell you how we can listen to each other from a different place. So I'm going to take this exercise plus one we're going to do later and invite you all after this presentation to take the time to really ask each other about your why, because that's really the foundation to all health and wellness change. Having vision for what's possible in your life. So thank you all for letting me take you through that and for turning off the side that we love so much, which is our logic, and really connecting within and getting to that heart of emotion. So this is our leadership model at Connected Executive Coaching. What I did with our team is we really created a model that was fully integrated with leadership and with health and wellness. And we're a very science-based company, so it was important to me to figure out, I knew from my own experience that there was this deep connection between leadership and health and wellness. And so when I started the company, I'm like, okay, where's everything published? I'm very analytical, I need to see everything where it's published, and let me see all the dimensions of leadership that are impacted by wellness. Like, where's the research? Where's the information? And I realized there wasn't a collection of all of this information. And so I went out and I created this massive spreadsheet and I said, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to research and I'm going to find the studies that link these two. And so all of these different dimensions we went through and we were looking and discovering that there was scientific evidence on all of these. It just hadn't been all collected. And we collected it and we created a leadership model, is what you see behind me. I'm not going to go into every dimension, but what we talk about when we talk about leading, we talk about how, as a leader, we're leading ourselves. And then in the second dimension, we talk about how are we interacting with others? How are we really connecting with others? What's our empathetic awareness? And then finally, in that third dimension, what is our capacity to inspire? To inspire as leaders and also to inspire organizations to be healthy and vital places for each and every employee that's a member of that company. That's my really true why, was There's got to be a connection, and I need to figure it out, and I need to make sure that everybody knows about it. And I need people to understand that if we want to be as effective as possible as leaders, we have to lead from within. You heard people say all growing up, right? You have to love yourself until you love somebody else. Well, I agree, and my Jewish mom said that to me over and over again. You must love yourself, honey. And it was true, and I believe that about leadership. We have to lead from within in order to be at our best to lead others. And when we create a foundation, when we create the foundation of nutrition and taking care of our bodies and taking care of our minds, what happens is that we're able to get to that level of expectation that everybody is looking at. And then we get to be the lionesses. We don't have to be the ducks anymore. We actually get to feel good. We don't have a 3 o'clock dip. We have energy to come home and be connected with our children. We have energy to get off the airplane and go in front of a group of people and talk with everything that we have because we're not depleted. And that's what we're trying to do. So let's talk about the how and the what, because like I said, I want you to walk out of here with some tips and tricks that you can implement right away in your life. And I'm going to talk about nutrition first, because nutrition is a building block for our energy. It is our life force. It is what feeds us and gives us energy throughout the day. And yet, we treat nutrition as if it is whatever's convenient, right? Let's just get it in. We just got to get the calories in so that we feel okay. No, we have to think about creating a foundation for our vitality. So what I have up here are the basics, right? We've got our protein, fats, and carbohydrates. In order to balance our nutrition, we actually have to balance these macronutrients. These are the building blocks. These are the things that actually make it possible for us not to have our dips and our spikes in blood sugar. They work together. And I talk to clients all the time, and they're like, oh, well, at 3 o'clock I had a piece of fruit. Well, that's a really good, healthy choice, but that's not really everything, right? We're missing some key factors. So one of the things I want to tell you is that with every snack, with every meal, we need to balance these macronutrients. So I will tell you, I was sitting in nutrition school in one of my first classes when they told me that I needed to eat fat. Anybody grow up in the low-fat generation? Because I did. And I looked at my professor and I said, no, 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 no. If I am going to eat fat, I am going to get fat, and that is not okay with me. And she just laughed like, oh yeah, she's new. And I was. And I learned very quickly that fat is important. And I'm not talking about trans fats or processed fats. If it's on a box, it's not going to be good fat. I'm talking about good, healthy fats like nuts and seeds, avocados, good, healthy oils, things that are from, if you do eat animal products, from good, healthy animals. That's where we get good sources of fat. We need protein. Protein is the building block to our muscles and also, ladies, our hormones. Want to balance those hormones? We got to get protein. It's absolutely essential. And carbohydrates, yes, it's the most highly debated macronutrient in the nutrition world, but carbohydrates are important. Fruits, vegetables, grains for some people are important, but we are all different. Does anybody want to tell me who is the nutrition expert of your body? Who is the best, knows everything, and actually has all the wisdom? Anyone? You, right. Because you're all biochemically different. You might be able to eat dairy, you might not be able to. You might digest grains great, you might not be able to. And the only way that we are going to figure out what nutrition is right for us is by listening and getting back to the wisdom that we actually all have. I know that the media and every nutrition book out there has told us differently, that you have to follow this and you have to do that and this is what you're going to do, and it's like the most overwhelming thing, and this study comes out and that study comes out and I don't even know what to eat. Do I eat eggs? Do I not eat eggs? Do I eat sugar? Do I not eat sugar? What is going on? It's the most frustrating thing in the world, right? And what we've forgotten is that we actually are really, really smart and wise. We all know what's right for our bodies. We just have to listen a little closer. And part of that listening is by eating foods that you know what they are. So I have a rule for our clients. If you don't know what it is, neither does your body. So if you read ingredients, I don't know about you, and I wouldn't do this to anyone in the room, but sometimes I make people come up and read the back of salad dressing and make them stand up here and actually pronounce the ingredients, and they say, Jamie, I can't pronounce this. And I say, then why are you eating it? What is it? And they're like, I don't know, don't eat it, okay? So if you want to really tap into your wisdom, you got to know what you're eating. You can't be wise about chemicals that you've never heard of and potentially are derived from coal. So eat real food. It's an important thing. It's an important thing, not just because it's what's good for you, but because it allows you to re-tap into that wisdom of who you are and what's good for your body. Okay, so that's a really important foundation principle for us. The other thing is sugar, okay? I know, listen, I am not going to tell anybody in this room not to eat chocolate, because if somebody told me not to eat chocolate, I would not be happy with them. Okay, it's all about balance. But sugar, when we get on the sugar roller coaster, does anybody know what the sugar roller coaster is? We eat sugar, our blood sugar drops. We need sugar. Our blood sugar goes up, it drops, it up, and we end up thinking that we all have a willpower issue because we can't seem to stop eating sugar. Well, guess what? It's biochemistry. It is not willpower. I have to tell you, I'm kind of tired of people saying, it's just me, I don't have the willpower, because it's not true. We're all actually able to do this. We just have to set our bodies up for success. And that means, going back to that last slide, balancing our macronutrients. Can you have chocolate cake? Yeah, you can have chocolate cake in moderation. But let me say, the best way to have chocolate cake is with some other food. It has to be with some healthy food so that we don't get into the blood sugar roller coaster. And when we think about that and we think about balancing our nutrients, what we do is we set our bodies up for success and we get off of this roller coaster that you see behind me. Our blood sugar is something that goes up and down, and it sends messages to the brain saying, I need more. So one of the ways to get and really balance that energy is to work on this and to recognize that it's not about restriction. We all want to have a healthy relationship with food. What it's about is figuring out how to eat right for your body and balancing these things. So this is a pyramid we use, and I know it's going to flip a lot of things upside down because so much of the time dinner is this huge meal and we're not eating breakfast. Now remember, with everything I'm saying, who's the expert? You, okay? So this might not work for you, but I can tell you that this model works really well for a lot of people, which is start your morning with a healthy breakfast. Coffee and a donut is not the breakfast that anybody should be having because it's not going to set you up for being at your best as a leader. It just won't. It's going to put you on that roller coaster. I can't tell you how many times I talk with people and they say, well, I have breakfast, coffee. No, that doesn't work. That is not breakfast. Think about having a nice, healthy breakfast. If you're somebody that likes snacks, have a snack. Prepare, plan. Those are really hard things to do, but having some nuts in your desk is really great. When you're traveling, packing some veggies and hummus, things like that, where you just have good, healthy things at your fingertips, because so often we get so busy we forget to eat. And we set ourselves up for a cycle because our cells are screaming, I need food. And what does it send to your brain? Get me glucose as fast as you possibly can. So you reach for that refined carbohydrate and you start the cycle. So really thinking about how can we balance, how can we get off the roller coaster, starts in the morning. So think about eating breakfast. One of our favorite fast food at Connected EC is the smoothie. So we give you smoothie recipes. If you are somebody that needs to rush out the door and doesn't have time, grab a smoothie. There's a lot of good combinations. It's a great way to let your digestive system rest a little bit, and all that food is already broken down and goes right in. You get great nutrients. We have lots of different ideas for you. You can start with some of them that are more fruit-based if you've never had a smoothie before, but these are ideas of how to get fast food into the body. Okay, so another thing. I know it's a picture of a raisin. You might have been wondering why there's raisins on your table. So one of the things we do as executives is what I call hand to mouth. Yep, hold on one second. Yeah, hold on, let me grab that food, right? We are so disconnected from eating because we don't have time. We eat through lunch. We eat so quickly. And unfortunately, what happens when we eat really fast, there's two main parts of our nervous system, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. The sympathetic is fight or flight. Our bodies say, I'm in fight or flight. You're going so fast. I'm in fight or flight. Shut down digestion. We're going so fast. We don't know. Our bodies have not evolved to a point where we know that emotional stress is different than physical stress. So our bodies actually think we're being chased by a tiger. And so it gets our body prepared for being chased by a tiger. So when we add stress into our lives, when we're going super duper fast on everything, and we don't take the time to slow down, we're actually not doing ourselves any favors. We're not doing our metabolism any favors, and we're not digesting our food and getting the nutrients out of it that we need. So one of the things we need to do, not all the time, I get this isn't realistic all the time. We're not all gonna go have 20-minute meals every single time we eat. We're gonna still eat in our car. But what I do wanna say is that when we can practice slowing down, we engage the parasympathetic nervous system, which guess what that's called? Rest and digest, because we're actually digesting our food when we slow down. So we are going to talk about slowing down, and we're going to talk about mindfulness because that's another huge part of what we do in our organization. So you all have raisins on your table. Could everybody just grab one raisin out? If you don't like raisins, don't worry, I'm not going to make you eat it. If you want to eat it, you can, but we're going to practice slowing down for just a minute, just to figure out what this mindful eating thing is all about and just to practice it so that you know how to put it into practice just a little bit. So go ahead and look at the raisin. You can smell it if you want. Just check it out. What does it look like? Touch it. What does it feel like? When's the last time you actually smelled your food before you ate it? Anyone? It actually starts the digestion process when you smell your food. Starts building the saliva up to get you ready. See, our bodies are really brilliant. We've just kind of cut off from them, okay? So you see the raisin. Go ahead, if you like raisins, go ahead and chew it really slowly. Notice what it tastes like. Is it tangy? Is it sweet? Take a moment to chew it. And whenever you feel like it, you can swallow it, but really just experience the taste of it. When's the last time you noticed what your food tastes like all throughout the meal? We sometimes pay attention to that first bite, but then it's like, how fast can I get the food in my body? I'm always curious, am I going to get through my meal before one of my kids needs something from me? And so I end up inhaling things, and I'm like, oh, that's not mindful eating. So what we just experienced with the raisin, am I going to ask that you experience every bite of your meal like that? Absolutely not. But there's a difference in the way that we're eating now versus how we can start paying attention to what mindful eating is about. And the reason I had you eat the raisin mindfully is not only did you get to slow down for a moment, but it's a great transition into mindfulness, because mindfulness is another huge part of how we create a foundation of health and wellness and leadership. So mindfulness is like one of the biggest buzzwords out there, right? There's so many people talking about it. It's really actually starting to take hold in corporate America. And all these definitions behind me are accurate. It's about being present. Guess what? We just did an exercise in mindfulness. Meditation, when you're focused on your breath and you're thinking about belly breathing. Mindfulness. Yoga. Mindfulness. There's all of these times in our life where we can be mindful. People sometimes think, well, I can't really practice mindfulness if I'm not meditating every day, and really the meditation is the mindfulness, and that's actually not what I think it's all about. Yes, meditation is the practice, but what is important about mindfulness is that connection that we're able to feel, being present with each other, being present as a leader. That's what mindfulness is about. So, coming back to our leadership model, we talked about vitality and cognitive agility. We talked about nutrition. When we think about nutrition, blood sugar, all of those things, that gives us the cognitive agility. Our brains, huge part of our brain is fat. So when we talk about eating fat, we're talking about supporting our brains. When we talk about balancing our energy, we're able to show up with the vitality and the charisma that is expected of us as leaders. And when we talk about mindfulness, what we're talking about is the second dimension. We're talking about how we connect. What is our empathetic awareness for others? And when we practice mindfulness, when we are able to be present with one another, it changes. It changes. It changes how we relate to each other. It changes how we lead. And truly, empathetic awareness, emotional intelligence is so much more important to everybody's team and each one of us than we actually realize. And study after study is coming out saying, hey, leaders with emotional intelligence, with empathetic awareness, that's where people are really finding the connection and finding great leaders. So we're going to talk a little bit about the neuroscience of mindfulness, because I know for myself, I needed to understand, why in the world should I meditate? Why should I focus on my breath and be present? Why does this really matter? And I like to use this metaphor because it's a really important one in understanding the neuroscience. If you think about the human brain, some of the time we're like all over the place, right? Our thoughts are really jumpy. We've got so much going on, kind of a monkey mind, everything's going on, and it's hard to see into the deeper levels of thought. And so when we think about water and in the choppy water of the ocean, you can't see to the bottom. You can't see to the deeper level of thinking. And when we are able to calm the waters, calm the thoughts, we get to that deeper level. So what does that look like in neuroscience? Well, we have this thing called amygdala, and it's highlighted in red here. And the amygdala is the part of our brain that sends us into fight or flight. So we talk a lot at Connected EC about amygdala hijack. Okay, amygdala hijack is when you are in fight or flight. Again, we don't know that we're not running from a tiger. Anybody had their flight canceled recently? Okay, amygdala hijack. Anybody came from a place of reaction where they regretted how they reacted, where they didn't feel like they really gave themselves the space to respond? Somebody cut you off in traffic? How about you were in the boardroom and someone next to you said something really idiotic and you really you didn't take a moment, you just jumped on them because how could they possibly say something like that? Amygdala hijack has a huge amount of power on us if we don't realize what's happening. It looks a little bit like this. Our brains go into fight or flight, and we are ready to take action, and we react. And it's really hard as executives because we've been rewarded over and over and over again for reacting because we're quick on our feet and we're strategic and we make decisions. And yet, I want to teach everybody in this room response. How do we respond? How do we actually turn off the amygdala when we're in hijack and turn on the middle prefrontal cortex? Because the middle prefrontal cortex is where the water is still. It's our deeper level thinking. It's where our real thinking and our power comes from. And if we respond and we give ourselves a moment, that's where our power comes from. That's where our connection comes from. So meditation, the practice of meditation is amazing. Yes, it changes the brain. It actually shrinks the amygdala and expands the prefrontal cortex. But it also gives us access to that energy when we need it. It allows us to pause in the moments that we need to pause in order to respond versus react. So we're going to practice this a little bit in an exercise we call stop, look, go. So stop, look, go gives us the ability to stop when we feel the amygdala hijack. And how do you feel the amygdala hijack? Well, I gave you a couple raw examples. But when we tap into the body and we start noticing how we feel, everybody feels a little bit differently with an amygdala hijack. Sometimes your heart starts to race. I get red in the face, so mine's really obvious, unfortunately. But everybody has something different. Maybe you notice that your arms get tingly. But as you start to tap into this, or you have that feeling of, oh my goodness, whew, I did not react the way I wanted to, go back and think about how you were reacting. Go back and think about the body, and it'll help you identify what that amygdala hijack looks like for you. So when we stop, we actually take a moment to see What's the bigger goal? What's the possibility? How do we actually come from a place that gets us closer to the outcome we're looking for? Not just reacting, not just going into fight or flight mode. So when we pause, and you can each take a breath right now in pausing, pause. If you just take one quick breath that allows you to pause. Take a pause, look at the possibilities, and then go from a place of response versus react. Look at the reaction that you get from others, or hopefully the response that you get from others. When you see that response, maybe you need to go back to stop, let go. Keep working on this. One of the things people say to me is, Jamie, I don't have time to do this. This is crazy. I'm in meetings all day, and how do you expect me to pause? How do you expect me to take a breath? Well, real quickly, I want to tell you about the two levels of listening, the two dimensions that I want you to recognize are different. Number one, dimension one, okay? We spend so much of our time in dimension one listening. It's all about me. I got to think about me. I got to respond. I got to say the next intelligent thing. I got to connect to this person by telling them a story about myself that's just like the story that they just told me about them, so they know that I can relate to them. That's dimension one. Dimension two is where we actually put our energy on the other person, where we listen with a different ear, where we open up our curiosity. So one of the things that you can do to stop, let go, is to open up your dimension two listening. When someone says something that really angers you, instead of reacting, go ahead and articulate what they just said to you. They're going to be really shocked. So what I hear you saying is blah, 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 blah. Wow, they're going to feel seen. And it gives you a moment to take that breath so that you can actually come from a place of response. This is what mindfulness is about. This is how we reduce our stress, and this becomes a foundation of how we keep ourselves healthy. So, a couple things I want you to take home. Number one, that dimension two listening, I'd like you each to try it with somebody in this room tonight. Ask them about their why and listen from a place of curiosity, not with an excitement yet to share yours, knowing that they're going to do the same for you and listen at a deeper level to you when you talk about your why. So connect to your why as much as possible, because that is what creates transformation. Balance your macronutrients. If you take one thing away from the nutrition talk, balance your macronutrients and you are the expert. It's really important. Get off the sugar train. It is just not a fun roller coaster to be on. Make sure that you're balancing your macronutrients. Eat breakfast. Practice stop, let go. Think about response versus reaction. Practice that two-dimensional listening with each other. And finally, be a lioness, because every single person in this room has the power to make change in their organizations and in themselves. Be the lionesses that I know each person in this room is. And take a commitment to yourself to do something that you've learned, whatever it is, one small thing that's going to get energy going back into you so that you can lead with power and with grace and with strength. Thank you so much.